We all grow up different. We have different backgrounds, we have different upbringings, we got different everything. So we must understand that everybody's definition of something will not be the same. So it's a lot of issues you may be having with people that's just frankly off of a misunderstanding. Listen to this video and listen to my breakdown on why you should clear up these misunderstandings before you have the problem. I guarantee this will alleviate a lot of issues in your life.
Cyrus, Ausar.
Oftentimes, there's a misunderstanding that can perpetuate into a real problem, whether it is physically or whether you just don't want to communicate with that person ever again. And it's frankly off of y'all being raised different and y'all standing on different principles and different understandings. Like, if somebody comes from a household where they are a single child, they may subconsciously or consciously think selfishly versus somebody that grew up in a family that may have 5 or 6 brothers and they so used to sharing. So this person may operate in a way that is individualistic. And when y'all come around each other, you can say, why don't you just do this? Why didn't you handle it like this? And they can say the same thing. Why didn't you handle it like this? Because y'all's upbringing is so different, or y'all ideologies is different, that there's going to be a disconnect on what y'all believe a person should do. Like, even with me, growing up, I grew up with a lot of brothers, so we always communicated things. So even if I'm running to the store, I'm like, I'm about to go to the store. Is there anything that you need? Is there anything anybody need? I'm going to the store. That became regular. If I'm leaving and I'm going to any place that I know is common or that I know somebody else want to go to, then you announce it. But when you get around people that don't come from that background, they'll just leave. They just come back with ice cream. You're like, yo, I didn't know you was going to get no ice cream. They never even thought to say anything because they didn't grow up in that environment. They grew up by themselves, so therefore they always maneuvered in a way of individualism. So that's what can happen. But based on my understanding, I knew that they weren't acting funny. Because if you didn't have that understanding, you'd be like, yo, this dude is acting funny. Like, why wouldn't you say nothing? Why would you handle things like that? That becomes the thought process. But if you have that greater understanding of how we all operate, then you can see that somebody's not trying to play you. You see, like, nobody's trying to front on you under those circumstances. It's just we're different. And when you take that idea and make it bigger, then you can understand why somebody may date somebody you used to date. You can understand why a friend may be shysty in certain ways that you will not be. And I want to say this, sometimes it's dead wrong. Don't take it the wrong way. Sometimes people know what they're doing and they're dead wrong and they need to be penalized in a way that you believe that they should. I'm not speaking on that. I'm frankly speaking on the misunderstandings that you won't realize is misunderstandings based upon how we were raised. Like, there's a cultural difference between black and white people. It just is what it is. And there's certain things that black culture does that's natural, and there's certain things that white culture does that's natural that won't see eye to eye. I'll give you an example. It's times in black culture where we exaggerate stories, but we all know we're exaggerating the story. They be like, yo, you know how many points you have? Man, I had like 90 points. We know we're exaggerating, therefore it's funny. But if somebody was to read into it in another culture, they're like, he's a liar. He didn't have 90 points. And I'm using this as a bad example, but it's an example to say there are differences in upbringing to make somebody misunderstand what you're talking about. And if they misunderstand you, they can have these differences and problems because they won't realize this is just your means of communication. You know what I'm saying? So the same thing I'm saying with you and your friends, right? They grew up different than you. Their culture in their house is different than the culture in your house, right? So knowing the difference between that, you have to give some leeway on why they are acting the way that they act. And develop an understanding first before you penalize that person for whatever they may have done. I guarantee this will help your life tremendously. And I know this is a deeper concept, because you have to look at somebody that may be a friend, family member, or whatever it is that grew up outside the house. You can say, listen, you can't just go in my cabinet and take my food. You have to ask around here. They're like, well, at my house, I always did this. This is not your house. So to you, if you didn't say that to that person, you will process it as theft. Like, man, every time he come over here, he just eat up all my food. But you don't know that everywhere he went in his life, he was able to do that. Like some people's household is open. You come in, walk in, you can have anything out the cabinet you want. So if they had that their whole life and they come to your house and then they start just going in the cabinet and eating stuff, you have to check them to let them know that this is not how it operates around here. So now that you know that, you shouldn't do it no more. Now, if they continue to do it, then that's a different issue. But I'm saying get understandings from people before you penalize them for their behavior. Because your definition and their definition may be different based on your upbringing. Thank you for taking out the time to watch this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to get a shirt or a hat or any of my books or anything like that, you can do so in the description box below. Also, continue reaching out to me on Instagram. I truly appreciate y'all's messages. I appreciate everything that y'all sending me on Instagram, because some of y'all leave me some really tough messages and it really challenges me to be better. So thank you. My name is Cyrus Ausar, and my mission is to decrease depression and prevent suicide by boosting self-awareness. The goal is to be better than you were yesterday and apply that mentality every day, growing to greatness.